My name is Casey is Raw, and my special guest today is Filthy Mouth Gamer. What's up, bro?
What's up, motherfucker? What's going on?
Oh, uh, honestly, you don't want to know here, but personally, I'm okay.
All right.
but I've been dying to do this for a while for you, with you. I mean, like
Yeah,
I'm
you asked me a long time ago, and yeah, I like I said, I love talking video games, so I'm obsessed with it. My fucking wife hates it; she doesn't understand it. So,
well, I mean, we grew up like almost in the same time frame, like
well, what year were you born, Casey?
82.
So, what do you consider? Are you considered a millennial, or is that Gen Z, Gen X? I mean,
Uh, I guess I'm a millennial,
right? So
and
but like you're one of the first ones, then.
yeah, and it's amazing. I just pronounced that word perfectly because that word usually is the biggest word that would fuck me up.
Really?
So
Why? Well, because you're a mush mouth? Is that what you say?
it's one of those words that it's hard for me to pronounce, and
Okay.
there's a lot of times. I mean, you don't have to really bring it up too much often. I mean,
Right.
the the year happened, and you don't have to really bring it up again.
Well, it's fun. I don't know if you remember. So millennials, they used to be known as Generation Y, and then
Really?
it used to be Gen X, then
Yeah.
Gen Y, and then Gen Z. But now they're trying to call Gen X Zennials. I'm like, shut your mouth with Gen X. I'm like, you're just trying to rope us into that other shit. But yeah, I listen. Yeah, so that's I was when you were born. I was 5. So yeah, we're in the same boat.
You're like in my brother's brain, so you're Gen X. I kind of would rather be called Gen X than a millennial.
Right.
God,
Well, because you're getting roped into, I don't even know what you want to call those types. Well, you're the oldest millennial.
yeah.
Right. All right.
But I mean, I grew up pretty much. I mean, I consider from the beginning as a child is for me is the Atari 2600, but
Yeah.
honestly, stuff behind it with the honestly all those Pong clones and it even stuff like I have the Odyssey 2,
Oh, the
but
Odyssey 2. Well, the
yeah,
original. Well, so the original console was technically what, the Odyssey 1.
there's a debate between the Odyssey 1 and this other console called the Fairchild Channel F.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So I mean, if you want to actually play some real games and consider that the first one, I would say Fairchild Channel F,
Hmm.
but the Odyssey 1 came out first, but all that had was an overlay on the screen with a light. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Right.
so I mean, what would you consider to be the first?
Well, the first one for me was the Atari 2600 when I was a kid. Um, that was the first. I was jealous of kids that had the Intellivision.
Mm.
Um, but it's funny because the marketing at the time made Intellivision's graphics look like they were way better, which
Oh,
was not true. But some television had some amazing, great games. Like they had a game. I don't know. I mean, you probably know. They had a game called Snafu.
yes.
That if I was to explain it to somebody who doesn't know what that is, if you've ever played the Tron arcade game, the stage where you're playing the light cycles and you have to like draw lines and block each other in, that's kind of like Snafu.
Almost kind of looks like eventually like our the first generation of cell phones. Uh,
Oh, the snake.
Snake. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that
You know.
Yeah, so Atari 2600. I'll never forget the game that hooked me. So the first time I ever saw a video game per se was Space Invaders Arcade.
Oh man.
And it was at my local Italian restaurant. As a matter of fact, I mean, I have it in the box still, but so I can't really open it. Recently I got the so the quarter arcade machines that I have in my background.
Yeah.
Now I have a Space Invaders.
Nice.
And it took a long time for it to come out because it's a pain in the ass. Because if you remember, the Space Invaders arcade has like a mirror image so when you played Space Invaders, the actual screen is on the bottom. You don't see it, and it reflects.
Yes.
And it reflects up onto like an overlay of like a planet and all that. So it had like a cool effect, like a ghost effect. And it was a pain in the ass for Numbskull to do that. So they finally came out with that. And so I don't even have room anymore. So I got to build a shelf. So I have Space Invaders and now the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade and quarter scale. Space Invaders was the first game I ever played. And then I was over a cousin's house. She had the Atari. And I played Donkey Kong on Atari, which obviously is not the best version of Donkey Kong. But it hooked me. It hooked me that I mean, would you even call it, I guess you can call the first Donkey Kong a platformer, even though you didn't go side to side. It was kind of like one screen and but that hooked me. So Atari 2600 hooked me, hook, line, and sinker. And I would say as far as Atari 2600 is concerned, my favorite game I mean, I got to go Yar's Revenge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yar's Revenge is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was bring up one of my mom's favorite would be River Raid.
River Raid's great. Activision.
Yeah.
When Activision was Activision before they became douchebags.
Before they became evil.
Right, exactly. Yeah, dude, River Raid was fantastic. I mean, they were put on the map. In my opinion, I was a kid with Pitfall.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
That's that. Well, if you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, would you consider Pitfall the first platformer?
Yeah.
Because you were going screen to screen.
Screen to screen, plus you're jumping. So, I mean, I could see that, especially like you jump on a vine. Yeah, I could almost say that. I mean,
as far as I remember.
I mean, for me, obviously, I'm a huge Nintendo guy. I would consider almost like what Mario is platformer, but I would almost say, yeah, I could agree with that though. I would like. There's not much more than that, so yeah, I would probably say it.
Yeah, and then Pitfall 2 kind of expanded on it and kind of made it like a more of a platformer where it had like an open world-ish type-ish. You float with balloons, like it was a little different. What's funny? One of the rare arcade machines back in the day in the 80s was a Pitfall 2 arcade. You ever see Pitfall 2 in the arcade?
No.
It's so different. It really is different.
No, I never did. But when you were describing Space Invaders, it reminded me. I'm sure you probably saw this. I think it was from Sega. It was the future realistic of arcade games. It was a big white cabinet, and the gameplay is just as stupid as like Dragon's Lair. It's one of those like, oh, you press this real quick, and you press.
It was cartoony like Dragon's Lair.
No, it wasn't cartoony. It
was like time. It was like what is that called again?
It was Space Warp. There's something like that.
I think, but yeah, what is that called again when you're hitting right? It was like God of War had that a lot. Timed events, or I forget exactly what they said.
Quick time
Yeah,
action or something like
yeah.
that.
So it played like that.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was a big white cabinet, and they put these like foam things, like a ball, a triangle, a square in the
Mm.
background. They're trying to make it look like 3D, so the image would come right up from nowhere. It looks like a hologram because
Oh,
they have the TV underneath.
right.
So they're making it look like the arcade game of the future. But the problem is the game is not no good because it's quick time
Right.
action. And like if the whole thing is just because you see a hologram and you're playing with a hologram, but it's not like, oh, you're using this joystick and you're making him jump and having an action button. That would be impressive.
Well, you know what's funny is 10 years after that, they kind of expanded on it and made Time Traveler, which was a hologram game, and it was, yeah.
That's the one I was trying to describe.
Oh,
It's
that's the one you were talking about, Time Traveler?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, because when you said that, I was thinking of the 80s. Like, oh shit, I don't remember that in the 80s. But yeah, Time
No,
Traveler.
yeah, Time Traveler.
They were
Uh,
they were people were trying to get Numbskull to make a quarter scale Time Traveler. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's not happening.
I mean, actually, there's a DVD game of that, but it's just the gameplay. It's not obviously you
Right,
can't have that image. So it's like people just have to see the machine itself to
right.
get it looks like. But
Yeah, like I don't think kids today realize, and it's not their fault, but Sega from 80s and 90s were bad motherfuckers, man.
yeah,
Like especially in the 80s in the arcades, they put out, I mean, they were putting out banger after banger after banger. They were just put like that whole 1984, 85-ish to like 1990 window. Um they just took every fucking chance in the world.
yeah,
Like they did anything from Afterburner with fighter pilots to my all right, so my favorite game from Sega from that time is Space Harrier. You know,
really, like yeah.
because the music was fantastic in Space Harrier. It was different than any other game there was. It was kind of 3D. It was kind of 3D without, as much
Yeah,
as you could be 3D at the time. Um,
mhm,
but it was just awesome. It was just, like, yeah, listen, that Outrun was fantastic. Sega just
yeah.
knew how to make arcade music.
Oh, definitely.
And then really, I could still remember like the first time I saw Shinobi. I was like,
Oh,
yo, what the fuck is this?
I've never seen a Shinobi arcade game.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I can't remember the day. Like I remember the day, but I can't remember the date. You know what I mean? But I remember seeing it for the first time and seeing the bonus stage
Mhm.
where all the ninjas are jumping at you and you're throwing like ninja stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that those are great fucking times. That's when, and not just Sega, I think a lot of the companies were taking chances with video games and ideas. They don't really do that shit anymore.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
yeah,
Uh,
they don't do that like they used to. Like I don't know, there's an arcade cabinet that's very rare. It's called Turkey Shoot. And
Wow.
and it's just all right, so it's one of those games where you have a gun.
That just went above me because I never heard of that.
It's rare. It's a very rare cabinet, but what happened, it was one of those games that you had a gun like Operation Wolf
Yeah.
or all right, but you had a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
And what happened was there'd be turkeys running around and you'd shoot at them. But whenever you'd kill a turkey,
Yeah.
On the sides of the cabinet, there were these little windows, and feathers would spit up.
Really?
I'm telling you, like the things that companies did back then, just for people to put quarters in their fucking machine, was amazing. They just did so much different like shit, and they don't do that shit anymore. They don't take
No.
those chances. Like Marble Madness is one of my
Oh.
favorite games from the 80s. Nobody
Really?
would have. Oh yeah, Marble Madness, and it's not. It's not a long game, but it's just so different than anything. Like nobody would have the balls to make a game that you're like, oh, it's control a marble through an obstacle course and have just the most bizarre, and like it was just so cool at the time. And nobody would do that anymore. Nobody takes chances like that anymore. It's just like listen, another game that's one of my favorites from that time, Paperboy.
Oh.
You know,
Well,
like who would? There's no company that would have the balls to say, yeah, we're gonna make a game based on you having a paper route. First of all, who has a paper route anymore? People don't even know what the fuck that is. You know what I mean?
people don't even get newspaper no
Right.
more. Much less it's all people in freaking vehicles that'll just drive around and just whoop, instead of
Right.
some trying to make a buck and throwing out newspaper.
For a lot of kids, that was their first job, is a paper route. I didn't have a paper route, but like a lot of kids had paper routes. And now that's kind of like gone.
Oh yeah, I mean, not like like who like do you have a newspaper at all, or does
No.
kids?
I used to read the newspaper every single day. From the time I was like, I would say 12 or 13
Mm.
to, I mean, I don't know, till maybe I was 36.
Oh
And then,
really?
yeah. But then, like, I would read the sports section and shit like that. But as far as like the news shit, I started figuring out, I'm like, oh, they're just not even telling me what fucking is really happening. So I'm not even going to bother with this shit. But I used to love reading the paper. I felt like, oh, I'm staying abreast of what's going on. But then I figured out, oh, this is all bullshit. The only thing that's for real is the sports section. And how the fuck are they going to fake that? The score is the score. That's you know what I mean? But yeah,
See,
what, go ahead.
seen a Paperboy arcade machine, but I grew up playing the NES version of Paperboy,
Right.
and I loved it, even though I can never get past Tuesday. Like,
Really?
yeah,
I don't
it's hard.
remember. No, it's fucking hard. Trust me, I tell you. Though, let me tell you something. Thinking back, that piece of shit scumbag cat. Cause the cat that would just pop out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
He's a piece of shit scum. And here's the other thing that pissed me off. Like, hey man, if I'm on a bike and I'm riding my bike and a cat runs out, the bike's gonna win. The bike's gonna kill this fucking cat. I don't give a shit what cat it is. And the other thing that used to aggravate me is that you used to die from hitting like the little sewer grate in the street.
Yeah.
You're not gonna fall from that. Get the hell out of here. What kind of sewer grate? You know what I mean? Like but I don't. You know what? I can't remember if I beat the NES Paperboy, but I do. I have a very fond memory of the first time I ever went to Disney World as a kid. We were staying in a hotel. Disney used to have like a Disney hotel village of all these different hotels, and it was Lake Buena Vista Hotel. It was the Howard Johnson's. Holy shit, that doesn't exist anymore. And we were staying in this hotel called the Viscount, and the Viscount had a Paperboy machine. And every day before we would go to whatever we go, Disney or whatever we were doing,
Yeah.
I was there with my grandmother, my grandfather, and my aunt, and they'd give me a couple quarters. I'd go down to fucking play Paperboy, and I'll never forget the day we left. I beat the fucking game.
Nice.
So every day I would play it, and I would kind of memorize. Okay, this is where I'm gonna get fucked here. This is where I'm gonna get fucked here, and I make it all the way. And I'll never forget. like it was like perfect timing because I beat the game and then we had to leave. And I'll never forget seeing the paper boy on the paper, because remember that was like the thing, you see the newspaper, and he was on the newspaper holding a like a trophy that you made it. And
I never got to see that screen. I always see where the newspapers announces that he quits.
Yeah, right.
Like they would actually now. I mean, if the newspaper reported that, that must have been the slowest news story. News.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like you're reporting on the fucking Paperboy's paper route. What the fuck's going on in your town? There's no other news.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get aggravated at kids now. Like I have nephews, and they all play the same shit. They all play. Oh, it's fucking. What is it called? It's Minecraft, or it's Fortnite, and it's like, listen, there's so much shit out there, and there's other shit other than first-person shooters or third-person shooters.
Oh yeah.
But they don't, like, I'm like, I said, try different shit. Don't just play the same shit and it's all bullshit. It's like, it's all cosmetic nonsense. There's nothing really, no substance to it. Somebody made a good point I was listening to the other day. Kids today don't even know of a time when you bought a game and the game was complete. There had to be no patches. There were no patches. They didn't have to fix it. The game worked day one, and that was it. Now they're used to all this microtransaction shit, all these updates, and it's like a problem, And the other thing that's aggravating is that they only know digital.
Oh yeah,
that aggravates me because physical. Like I try to buy physical media as much as I can. Like I don't have the room like you have, so I'm kind of running out of room on just PlayStation games.
I'm actually running out where I'm at. So like when at my mom's old house, like even in that room, I was out of room. I was literally like, if I was decided to move to another console, like I really had dude, I was like blocking windows, and I know my mom hated that I blocked her windows, but I was like, I had two shelves on each side of the window, and needed another shelf. So I told mom, I was like, hey, I gotta block that windows. And she's like, just don't make it look gaudy or look
right.
bad. I'm like, I'll just squeeze them together. You won't even know anything's behind there. But it, like, right now, I'm at that point, like, I barely have room. I'm actually putting games in front of games right now.
Well, it's funny because I see that you have that Super Mario Brothers 2. I'm sorry. My fucking accent came out. Super Mario Brothers 2. Everybody hates when I say Mario, but that's what we say over here. Quick story about that. When that game came out, it was all right. So at the time, there was Super Mario Brothers 2, and then there was Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link. Those are the first two games I ever saw. So there was a video store near my house that before those games came out in the United States, they had the Japanese versions. And those games were being sold for $150 each.
What?
And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, oh my God. But yeah, but then I remember when the Super Mario Brothers 2 came out, it was around, you know what? I'm going to take a guess. I think it was 1988 when that game came out. And it was the holidays. And I wanted that game so goddamn bad. I mean, I just wanted it so bad. And my aunt said, she was a son of a, she still is a pain in the ass piece of shit, but she made it like, oh, we couldn't find it. I'm sorry. But then she had actually found it for me. But like she had to, she went to a Toys R Us and they said, oh yeah, we don't have it. But then they had literally just opened a whole case of them. And my uncle's, because nobody remembers this, but Toys R Us at the time, very bizarre for people today, but You had to go to the video game section. You had to grab a ticket for the game. It said the game and the price. You had to bring it to the register, pay for it. They would stamp it and like print some shit out for it. And then you had to take that ticket and go to another booth that had all the games in it and have to hand the ticket to a guy in the booth, and then he'd give you the game. So apparently they just cracked open a case of these and the whole wall was filled with them. And my uncle's like, no, you have some right there. And then he got the fucking game at the last minute. But goddamn, the memories of that. Holy shit. Super Mario Brothers 3, which is my favorite one.
Oh, yes.
That was by accident I got that game. Because you didn't know the dates the games are coming out. You know, like now we know, on this date, this game's coming out. Here are the release dates. You didn't know.
No.
Like Nintendo Power didn't even say it. So I went to Toys R Us. Unbeknownst to me, I went to Toys R Us the day it came out. Super Mario Brothers 3 on accident. And I went there to buy another game. I get to the thing and I look up and I just see a whole fucking wall of Super Mario Brothers 3, and I almost shit. I was like, I want that. Because I had played the game already, believe it or not. There was a clothing store, I forget the name of it, in the mall, in my local mall. And in the back of this clothing store, they had a Play Choice 10 machine. And in this Play Choice 10 machine, they had the Japanese Super Mario Brothers 3. And I remember going through. Now, if nobody knows what we're talking about, a Play Choice 10 machine, it was a Nintendo arcade. It had 10 games to choose from. And the thing was, when you picked a game on a quarter, you only had a certain amount of time to play it. The time would run out and you have to put another quarter in. Even if you didn't die, you have to put another quarter in. But I remember going through the list of games and I saw Super Mario Brothers 3. I was like, wait a minute. This can't be real. I was like, this has got to be bullshit. And then I played it. I was like, no, this is for real. I was like, holy shit. So when I saw the Wizard, the movie The Wizard, and he played Super Mario Brothers 3, and you're like, oh, there's a new game nobody's ever played it. I'm like, bullshit, I played it in the same fucking mall I just see this movie. So go fuck yourself. Don't tell me I've never played it. That's the better, in my opinion, that's the better game.
Oh, definitely. I agree. There's a lot of people who says, which one is better, Super Mario World or Super Mario Bros. 3?
Yeah.
I'm on 3 side, but I could see why people say Super Mario World, though, too.
World is because they had a lot of hidden shit in there, and they did, like, the graphics are better, obviously. But Super Mario Brothers 3, without Super Mario Brothers 3, there is no fucking Super Mario Brothers World.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, they based it pretty much off 3. I mean, even in the Japanese version, they called Super Mario World Super Mario Bros. 4.
Right, exactly.
So,
but also the map, the overworld map, right?
Yeah.
That started in Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah.
The thing they didn't do correctly in World that I loved in Super Mario Brothers 3 is that the worlds in Super Mario Brothers 3 had themes. So it was like, I'll never forget the first time going to Giant World and seeing a fucking Goomba that was like 5 times the size that it should have been. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
they didn't do that in World.
I mean, I think they should have. I agree. I really did like that world where everything's giant.
Right.
Nowadays, if I play it, I get the warp whistles and I go straight to 8, and I'm pretty much stuck after that.
Right.
I mean, World 8 just destroys you.
Right. Yeah, well, that's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you had the P-Wing, like a couple of those P-Wings to get over the first 2-1, then, like, I could knit. Filthy, you're gonna laugh at me.
What?
I never beat 3, but here's the kicker.
Yeah, but how old were you when you played that? If you were born in 82, a game came in 88, you were 6 years old when the game came out.
That was Mario 2, but I mean, I know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mario 2 is 88. So yeah.
And I know Mario 3 came out like 90.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I think the Japanese Mario 3 already came out when
Yeah, it
we
was
got.
already out.
So it was like, I mean, they that's what the Japanese people love to do. They'll have like hold it for them for a while, for a year, and then they'll release it internationally. But uh
There was a thing. I don't know if you did this as a kid, but me and my friends, where we're from, we used to say something stupid that made no fucking sense whatsoever. But for some reason, we just made it up to ourselves. We felt like when we were kids that California got shit before we did on the East
uh
Coast,
yeah.
which didn't exist. It was all horseshit. But we were young and retarded. It's just that, what I mean? Like that's just how it was. California did not get shit first because the
uh,
way we looked at it, it was like, well, Japan is closer to California, so it must come over. Like, no, when the U.S. gets it, everybody gets it. What are you talking about?
like I at the time I was living in Oklahoma, so I didn't really think much about that
Right,
because Midwest, I was
right,
like, I'm like right in the middle of the country, damn
right.
near. So, but I could see why that, because when I lived in Pennsylvania, dude, it's amazing some of the stuff on the East Coast that, like, all the import stuff they would have in Oklahoma. Nowadays, imports get into here because it's getting more popular,
Mm.
but you never seen anything Japanese or anything here because it was all just domestic.
Well, because in Oklahoma, I think that's just based on less amount of people. You know what I mean? There
Yeah,
was
well,
because
yeah.
if you don't have the demand for shit like that, like a high demand, nobody's
Oh,
gonna put it. Nobody's gonna put it out. You're on the East Coast. Let's say you're on New York, the New York area, or even
yeah,
like Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. There's so many people that you might have uh, a demand for shit like that. Um,
yeah, it's kind of almost today's. I totally would agree with that too. Because even today, like my local game store, I mean, my every once in a while, there's this chain that is called Vintage Stock.
mm,
Uh, they they would only get what people brings in, and very
mm,
rarely ever see like Japanese stuff. But this game store that we have here, that I consider is my second favorite store of all time. Um, they get all types of stuff. Like, dude, I picked up my Philips CDI from them. So, uh, but they would have Japanese, dude. They have Famicom, they have Super Famicom, and they have a whole session about that. If it wasn't of that store, I, there wouldn't be a lot of imports around here.
right,
It's kind of that what it is like it is today, kind of, you know.
right,
So
right,
that's
right. Yeah, you obviously you collect a lot more shit than I collect, but my wife doesn't understand how I could spend $200, let's say, on a quarter scale arcade version of Miss Pac-Man, right?
yeah,
And play it a few times and maybe never play it again and still enjoy it and still um collect more. I was like, because you don't understand. I'm
so,
like, it's not about playing the fucking game. If I want to just play the game, I could fucking play it anywhere. I said, but to me, especially the quarter scale arcades, it's
mm,
the artwork.
yes,
It's their works of art, and
yeah,
they're my childhood. You know what I mean? Walking into an arcade back then was just, oh my god, it was like orgasmic because just the sounds, the mix of sounds, the colors, all that shit, the environment of making new friends, people
yeah.
hanging around, people putting their quarters up, watching other guys play a game that are better than them and learning from them, just watching them. That shit is gone.
Oh, definitely.
It's very sad to me. It really,
Mm,
I mean, there are retro arcade arcades now, right?
Yeah.
That is a thing, but
Yeah.
it's not.
It's definitely not the same.
That's like a niche thing for people. Like now you walk in, oh, you pay $20, you could play over and over and over again, which sounds like a great deal. But think about it. Like when arcades were around in the 80s, if you had a $5 bill, you feel like you were a fucking world champion. Because you put that $5 bill in that coin machine and it spit out all those fucking quarters. Oh, you were there all day with that $5.
Oh yeah. Like if I would have $5 for me, I'd be like, all right, well, I'm gonna beat X-Men or I'm gonna beat Turtles or
Yeah.
even beat Simpsons because all you need is just keep pumping it with quarters and you're gonna eventually beat
Yeah,
it.
right. Well, that's what they wanted you to do. That's why they made those games so fucking like I don't know. I did look it up recently. Can you beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on one quarter? And I saw a video of somebody doing it.
Yeah.
I used to, all right, so I used to be able to get on one life.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be able to, on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Raphael, I used to be able to get all the way past even beating Rocksteady and Bebop at the same time
Yeah.
on one life. And then once I got past that, I was fucked.
That's pretty impressive because
But the thing is, like, it was because I knew, all right, fighting Rocksteady and Bebop, you couldn't go in there and just fucking mash buttons. Like you had to hit once, move, hit once, move, hit once, move, hit once, move. It's kind of keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. When everybody just tried to go in there and just fucking spam hits.
yeah.
That's not the way to do that. But that shit didn't work later on when you had to fight. I don't even remember the guy's name. Like those rock bosses, the one that looks like an eagle and the one that looks like it's the guy that right before you get to the Technodrome, you fight that one dude that looks like an eagle, and it goes, crush the turtles. Crush the turtles. He was a son of a bitch bastard.
Rock General
Yeah,
Soldier or something.
Right. You'd fight him, and then you get into the Technodrome, and you have to fight another one. That it would always kick my ass. It's still, I even when I broke open the quarter scale, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm like, all right, let's play, and same shit. I got my ass handed to me once I got there. They would just beat me down.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have an arcade one-up machine, like the full size one, and then I got the ones for the counters.
Oh, the
Well,
Turtles one?
no, I got a Street Fighter 2
Oh, okay.
cabinet, but I feel bad for other people because see, mine's been modded that has over 800 arcade games. So, like, when I feel bad for other people, like, I get to edit this out if you don't want to talk about this, but
No, I don't. Listen, I'm a fucking open book. You want to talk about anything, we'll talk about it.
like, Cronin has the Turtles cabinet, and I tried to suggest to him to get it modded because I'm like, it's great to play the Turtles arcade game and then Turtles in Time,
Right.
but times are you gonna do that, and then that's just like I love it as a piece of art, but I really like this because it has over 800 arcade games.
Yeah.
I feel like people are almost getting ripped off when they're paying. Like nowadays, like the Turtles. I mean, how much was that? $500?
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
Well,
I think
I
it's
agree. I agree with what you're saying because when Arcade One Up first came out, I saw a lot. I'm like, oh, I like that game, or I like this game, I like that game, and a lot of them had like 3 games on it, 4 games on it. But I was like, I want a game that has endless replay value, so it was going to be a fighting game, right? That's why I got the Mortal Kombat 2 machine.
Yeah.
Because I had Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. It's endless replay value because if friends come over, you can just play them, whatever. I never modded it though, like so it's still the way it was. But yeah, I agree because if you have a platformer or you have a game like Turtles, how many times can you really play it?
Street Fighter 2 I have right here. You got the Championship Edition,
Right.
and then below it says Super Street Fighter 2, and
Right.
below that it says Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So you have 3 versions of
Right.
Street Fighter 2.
Right.
Like give you 3 options and like have like the original Street Fighter, then Street Fighter 2, obviously. Make it Street Fighter 2 the
I would even went deeper. I would have put the original Street Fighter in too. The shit one.
You put the original in,
Yeah.
then you put Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
And then made one the alpha ones. after that.
Or put in Street Fighter 2, not even Super Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But when there's like back in the day, like when we grew up, like there's like 10 fucking Street Fighter 2s.
Yeah.
Like so when I have 3 of them on the same machine, like how many like, oh, do you want to play like easy, normal, or harder versions? I'm like, or
Right.
like slow, fast, and faster mode.
Right.
To me, I'm like, I feel like they're getting ripped off a little
Right.
bit. Like, I know there's some arcade machines, I think from, God, what's that crap company that made.
Oh, wait, hold that thought because I got to take a piss real quick. I'll be right back. But hold that thought because I want to continue this conversation because, yeah, I do like this arcade one-up shit. Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
All right.
All right, man.
So, yeah, I agree with you about, are you going to get an arcade one-up? Don't get a game that you get bored with in 2 seconds. Like the other ones, I have only room for one arcade one-up in here, right? But the other 2 ones that I really want bad are NBA Jam.
Oh, yes.
And NFL Blitz.
Oh, my God.
When I saw the NFL Blitz one, I was like, oh, you motherfuckers. And NFL Blitz is missing from society. That they have, I believe it's on the computer. They make NFL Blitz with the updated rosters every year.
Boy.
It's fucking. I'm like, you motherfuckers, man. That I'm telling you, I fuck Electronic Arts, and fuck them for fucking taking the NFL license away from everybody. Because when there was competition with that shit, when you had NFL Blitz and you had Madden and you had, well, it was NFL 2K and then it became ESPN 2K. Like those were great times.
Yeah.
Now you just get a dog shit football game every year with Madden, and it's like, I haven't played. I haven't played Madden seriously or any of that shit since 2005 when they got.
I don't blame you because, like, I'm in the same boat. I was playing the console versions for the longest time. My late wife, she got me to play Madden. It's like, okay, I can understand that, but I still love Blitz. But like you said, like Madden's it's copy and paste
Every year.
Yeah, and it's not like then. Yeah, they're pushing one every year, but like they don't really innovate anymore.
I hate the people that buy them still.
Oh yes,
because they're supporting that horse shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I used to play a lot. We used to. I'm sure we talked about this on Foul Mouse, but Ken and I and a bunch of other friends, we used to play. We used to have NHL hockey on Genesis and PlayStation tournaments. Like we'd get together, we'd make a fucking makeshift belt. Like we had a championship belt. This is no shit. We could probably find a picture of it somewhere. The fucking belt part was the top tin of a fucking cookie tin. And we just wrote NHL champion on it and put some bullshit on it, attached like a strap to it. And that was the belt. But we used to play sports shit all the time. Now I can't even remember when I played a sports game for real. Like, it's been so long.
Oh, I'm in the same boat. Honestly, I can't really think of any. Because lately, I mean, I'm more a Nintendo guy, but I'm more retro, but I will play modern, but I don't like you said, I think the only last time I played any sport related thing, maybe is when I was doing my gameplays.
Mm.
But I don't like playing Madden because it's bullshit, and I'm not into other sports. I think the only game I recently played that was a sport was NBA Jam, just for gameplay.
Right. NBA Jam was, oh my God, so
Oh,
good. So good. And when the first one came out, um, in locally, everybody either played with the Knicks because we were from New York, or they play with the Orlando Magic because Shaquille O'Neal.
mm,
But I was different. I was like, no, 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 no. I played with the Golden State Warriors because they
oh,
had Chris Mullin, who would hit threes all over the fucking place, and they had not Anthony Hardaway, Tim Hardaway, which was good at threes too, but he was fast and he could steal a shit. He could steal balls easy. So I was weird that way. But I'll never forget the Genesis NBA Jam. They had a tournament at Blockbuster Video one summer.
yeah.
Uh, and it was the first game was NBA Jam, then it was Virtua Racing, and then
Oh,
it was Sonic 3. And NBA Jam, um, I scored the highest. So you had to play just one half, and
yeah.
whoever scored the most points against the computer, like
Oh,
was um. So I scored the most points on Long Island. It was I think I scored like 48 points in the first half because I took Golden State and I just started draining threes over and over and over and over and over again. And I remember the guy that worked at Blockbuster Video said, "You're the only person that has used Golden State." He goes, "Everybody that comes in here uses the Knicks." I'm like, "Well, they're morons. Like, I'm not here to root for my team. I'm here to win this goddamn tournament." We're like, but yeah, I miss. Oh, this is a good question. Speaking of sports, the original Nintendo NES.
yeah.
What is your favorite sports game on the NES?
Oh God. I I I'd probably go for RBI baseball on
Hmm.
Tengen, and it's
Yeah.
got to be unlicensed version card.
Yes. Tengen made good shit. Wasn't Tengen Atari, and then they had to change the name of the Tengen to hide it?
It, no, it was because at that time the company split, and one Atari owned owned the software, while the
Hmm.
other one owns like the hardware side.
Oh, okay.
So, and I think the one that owned the hardware side wanted to make games again, and that's why they wanted to make Tengen. So, and it's not like other companies where like, oh well, they have more games on the NES. We had to have another company to pump
Right.
out more games or 3 games a year. So we gotta have a new license to do that.
Right.
But but
Tengen had great games. They had Gauntlet,
they
RBI Baseball. They had in my opinion, the better version of Tetris
oh yeah.
because it was 2 players. You know what I mean? Like the Nintendo one wasn't 2 players.
I think it would be better. See, I can see both ends. I'm used to the original, no, the NES version,
Right.
but I can see why people like Tengen.
The Tengen's based on the arcade.
Yeah, and like you said, it's 2 player. Like,
Yeah, like so much better playing against your friends.
oh yeah, like see, my mom was so good at the licensed version
Right.
that she would always guess. I think if you pretty much maxed out to the point normally now, but where you'll have the little penis rocket ship, but it was the building that would fill up, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So she would get that. Nowadays, people would go way past that, where
Right.
they freaking break the game and they
Right.
consider that beating Tetris.
Right. When it
But
freezes.
Yeah, when it freezes, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's the kill screen they call it.
kill screen. But my mom was so good at that, and she was even up to the day she before she passed. She was very competent. She was very, she'll be competent. See,
Competent.
no, she competes.
Oh,
She,
competes. Oh, okay.
yeah, she was very competitive. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
part
Oh, okay. Okay.
that. See, now you see what I'm talking about.
Right. Right.
I, but
That could be cured with an edible, Casey. You take a couple edibles, you'll fucking just say shit.
but she was very competitive because
Right.
when we're playing on my 3DS, I got a high score shit that she took forever to beat, and then at this time I let her use my 3DS, like
Right.
hold on to it because at this time I was playing on my Switch. So I
Right.
was like, I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I mean, I'm not playing my 3DS. And she kept like I'm this close, Casey. And then she said, I finally broke your record. And then she gloats when she like even like surpasses that. Like, you bitch.
Right. Yeah. Let me tell you something. That's a measure of a human. If you don't like the game Tetris, I think you're a piece of shit human being. You know what I mean? Like, who doesn't like Tetris?
Like, how can you not like Tetris? I mean,
Right.
I'm like, dude, have you played the new version? I guess it's Tetris Effect.
No, but I've seen it. It's cool. It looks cool. And what's the
If
one that you have like 100 people playing at the same time?
Oh god, Tetris 99.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that because I feel like if you're gonna compete, I don't want people like sending shit over to you. I want it to be like, hey, who can stand there the longest in
Right.
nerf mode?
Right.
Like, see, like, but like, oh, I'm gonna throw this over to you. Like, nah, to me that's bullshit. But Tetris Effect, I think it's absolutely a beautiful game.
Mm.
But I really enjoyed it because I had my PSVR headset and being submersed in that, and it had beautiful music and like beautiful graphics. Like, I almost consider that my favorite version of
Okay.
Tetris now.
Okay.
But as if we go back to the NES, I feel like I'm still leaning more to the licensed version because I grew up with that. Even though I do have the unlicensed Tengen version,
Mm.
and I do see why people that, but I was like,
Don't you feel like the Tension version has better music? Like it's got because Tetris is supposed to be Russian, right?
that's true.
And you just dig it. Can you remember the music from the Tension Tetris? Like come on, man, that's Tetris.
Yeah, when you did that, then it brought it back
Yeah.
to me because
Come on, dude. That's what Tetris is supposed to sound like.
that is true. It is Russian, so
Right. And then you'd beat the stage and the little Russian guy would come out and dance his little Russian jig.
yeah. You know what? I was gonna say I would move to the NES version,
Mm.
the license, but I think you brought me over just
Come
with
on,
that.
dude.
Yeah,
It's
I
because
mean,
we had, I don't know if in my local arcade in the mall they had an arcade Tetris.
the only time I ever saw one it was later in life when I was in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, like I heard, like I don't know if you follow the gaming historian.
Yeah.
His Tetris video is just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Chef's
that
kiss.
yeah, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It's just like if people wants to watch the Tetris movie, watch the gaming historian first. He did very good, but Oh my God.
You know what fascinated me most about the Tetris movie?
Yeah.
It wasn't even the Tetris part. It was that. It was that. I don't know if you caught this, but everybody knows. I'm sure. I hope everybody knows the chick that went to jail that was with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell or Ghislaine, I think. Her father, Robert Maxwell, is the guy in the Tetris movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't
So
that
like, yeah, it's wild. That's what fascinated me the most. I was like, oh shit, he's in this fucking movie? I was like, whoa, there's some pedophile Isle shit going on.
I didn't realize they were related.
Yeah.
I didn't like what coincidence. I mean, one scumbag is like the is the daughter or the father to one to
Right.
the other one. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.